Do you like sports anime? Do you like romance anime? Do you like the color blue? If you said yes to any and or all of these things, then you are definitely going to want to check out today's video because we are talking about Blue Lock and Blue Box in the battle for blue supremacy. Let's go. Hey, anime lovers, Mr. Rogers here. Welcome to the neighborhood. So happy you could make it. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today, we're going to dive into Blue Lock and Blue Box, two shows that I picked to review back on this video where we talked about all the shows coming out this fall, which is now. And these two just go together so well in the same video. Not only are they both blue themed, they're both sports anime. And what better way to compare apples to apples than by having them be in the same genre? Now, before we get into which one of these is going to be the winner of this blue battle, this blue supremacy, we need to define what makes a really good sports story. Not necessarily a good sports anime, but a good sports story, so then we can hold these two kind of to that standard. So for me, what makes a good sports story, the very first thing I think of is an underdog. Think of all the great sports movies you've ever watched. It's always the underdog, like Hoosiers, right? They're the underdog basketball team. Invincible, the underdog, Mark Wahlberg is going to somehow make an amazing play for the Eagles in the NFL. You know the trope. For me, that's a staple of a good sports story. The second thing I think is crucial to a sports story, you actually have to show the sport being done. Obviously, I think that's pretty straightforward, but you'd be surprised. The third most important thing is the character depth, the character journey, the character motivation. That has to be present throughout the story. And that just goes for storytelling in general. But if you're going to tell a sports story, you need to have that in there as well. We have to care about the person who's going through these struggles, who's overcoming these odds, who is this underdog, or these group of people who are these underdogs, so we can cheer for them when they rise or when they overcome their challenges, or be sad when they're set back by them. Think of Remember the Titans. Would that movie's ending really work if we weren't invested in those characters and what they were going through? Absolutely not. There are obviously a lot of other tropes and things you'd like to see in sports anime, but I think those kind of highlight the majority of them. So now we kind of have something to stack against each other. Both of these shows are a shonen. How aggressively they lean into them is very differently. Blue Lock is like basically superpower soccer. It's what if like Dragon Ball Z played soccer, but you know, obviously on a way lesser scale. But like, yeah, their eyes light up, fire comes out when they shoot, like all these type of things that really kind of sell their abilities leveling up. Whereas Blue Box takes the more kind of natural approach where you see them just progressively get better, more of a, I hate to say this when talking about an animated form, but realistic. So does Blue Lock and Blue Box have these things that are essential to a sports story? Having now watched a few episodes of each of these, or at least what's available to be consumed now at the time of this recording, I would say that yes, these all from a story perspective check the boxes. They're basically neck and neck in my opinion. So where is the separator? What is the thing that makes one rise above the other? Do they even need to be compared to one another? Can they stand on their own? Yes, but comparisons are way more fun, so we're going to do that. There can only be one Lord of the Ring, and he does not share power. Where were we? So Blue Lock. Let's talk about my initial expectations going into Blue Lock Season 2. Obviously, I'd seen season 1 already, but I did have a few reservations based off of what had happened with season 1. The big one on the top of my mind was, is the animation quality going to drop like it did in season 1? It kind of progressively got worse as it went along. By the end, you couldn't even really call it animated. It did technically move from time to time, but it was very, you know, PowerPoint presentation-esque. So that was my first sort of expectation and worry that, yeah, I feel like the animation quality is going to go down. The second thing that had me kind of reserved about Blue Lock Season 2 is that I feel like it might have been an anime of the perfect storm, if you will, right? Where all these things in its favor were working perfectly for it that aren't there anymore. And that is when this anime was coming out, the World Cup was in full swing. So everybody was already excited about soccer. The manga had been selling like crazy. Japan was actually doing really good in this World Cup. I mean, better than they have in a while. Not only that, Japan was also getting attention on social media on the global scale because of how their fans were cleaning up after soccer games, cleaning up their section of trash, and just being good people, good soccer fans. Or football, depending on where you're from. Sorry, I'm a dumb American. I call it soccer. Fight me. Please don't. So there's this perfect storm of the popularity of the manga is hitting, the World Cup is going on, Japan is getting this attention. And so I think it was the perfect storm that created the right growing conditions for this anime to just pop off. And it did. It was very popular. But none of those things are here this time around. So you've got to carry yourself on your own merit, which is, again, kind of what we talked about. The things we want in a sports story doesn't have enough of that to go on its own. So those are my expectations and reservations going into this. Now, I'm not going to do reactions in this video because I did that last time and I did re-edit that video about 3 times to avoid getting copyright struck by YouTube. And even then, I still couldn't get it cleared for all countries. I think in the future, when I'm able to do like YouTube memberships and I can open that up, maybe I'll do a reaction type thing as like a special for one of the tiers that you can pay there. And then I don't have to worry about whether or not it meets the can be released or not. It'll just be for members only. We'll see. So here's the disappointing truth about Blue Lock. It's damn near unwatchable in season 2. It's such a shame that I have to go that I have to say that, because I had such a good time with season 1. I really loved the music. I love how everything was amping up. I love the extra shonen-y superpower effects when they would figure out their new ability and like hit a goal in like a unique way. It always had some cool like animation, and it just felt like, yeah, I just managed to capture that like adrenaline and like testosterone of that sports can have. But this time around, that's not enough to carry such poor quality animation. Among the worst I've seen. Not the worst, but definitely close. And I'm not trying to blame the animators. I know that they have pretty bad working conditions and working hours and timelines to get this stuff crunched so that they can get it out. And so I know they have to employ ways to cut corners, and I know that they don't get enough time to animate things the way that they should be. It opens a bigger conversation about, does consumerism and capitalism kill art? But we aren't going to have that discussion here. That's philosophical, and this channel's not that deep. I'm just a guy who talks about anime on the internet. So then the question becomes, the animation is that horrible. Is there enough of everything else that made the show good to continue sticking with it? And I think this is going to be a personal decision. Each person will arrive to this answer differently, and the answer is not going to be the same for everyone. And I know you're like, well, you're supposed to tell me if I should watch it or not. I can give you a recommendation. For me personally, I enjoyed in season 1 the characters, their dynamic, the stakes of the show, however ridiculous they may be. I kind of liked where it was going. I liked all of these things that I had. It was a nice, fun, not to be taken serious kind of anime. Just, you know, a little like, yeah, that was so cool. That was awesome. I love that. You get the point. But this time around, we've already seen that. It's not bringing anything new to the table. Just don't think it has enough of what made season 1 special to get through the bad animation on top of it. It's one thing if the animation was bad, but the story was still firing top notch, still being absolutely captivating, but it just isn't. Now, if you are still loving where this is going, I could totally see you being like, yeah, the animation isn't great, but I am thoroughly obsessed and I have to see where it goes. I mean, probably spoiler alert, I haven't read the manga, but I just don't see this being the type of story that's not going to give you the ending where the hero gets what they wanted, or at least dang near close, got what they deserved, not what they wanted. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of a twist still there, but I don't think it's going to be some blow your mind story where the hero loses in the end and has to give up soccer forever. I just don't see that being the case. So do I really need to watch to see where it gets there? I don't know. I could probably just wait until it's done and watch a recap on YouTube. I don't feel the need to continue for, several more hours to get something I've already seen before at a level worse than I've seen it before. This is what really bothers me about it. In a sports anime, you would think that the animation of the sport being played would have the emphasis, that is where the budget of the animation would go, into the sport being played looking good on screen. But that is where the animation is actually at its absolute worst. That's when there is usually no animation, and it's very hard to tell a coherent story about what's going on in the soccer game without animating anything. It's a lot of, while freeze framed, well, I can see the defense over there. If I kick it to the left 0.25 centimeters with a faster speed than usual, then my fast player with pink hair over here, which you can't see off screen, can get there just in time to make the shot. Then it freeze frames. I always get the shot. Then it freeze frames. Not if I have anything to do with it. And that's just rinse and repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just a bunch of inner dialogue and freeze frames. And again, I know they're just trying to employ these so that they can cut costs and meet deadlines. I get it. I am very much an advocate for animators getting treated like human beings, not art machines. But it is just unfortunate that this story is sadly just as reliant on the animation being good, and it's not. Now, all this long-winded rambling, hopefully I've edited something coherent for you to hear. Let's give this thing a recommendation score. Would I recommend this to anybody? Obviously, that's already off the table because this is a season 2. So you'd have to have seen season 1 first. So no, I would not recommend it to just anybody. Of the people who have seen season 1, would I recommend it to them? Unfortunately, no. I think there's an argument to be made for if you were enjoying this story solely off of the character dynamics and the how far can they take the Blue Lock program. If that was like your main draw for this anime, you'll probably like it more than I'm saying how bad it is. You'll probably like it more than I'm giving it credit for. But if you were in it for the like heart pounding shonen action, that sort of piece of it, that is basically lacking. I just think you're getting more of the same of season 1, done worse quality, worse pacing, just worse all around. And so for me, I'm going to give a recommendation score of a flat, just a 2. Your mileage will vary, but here's the unfortunate truth. This is going to be the first show that I am going to drop this season. And it pains me to say, because in my video where we picked everything that we were going to watch this season, I said in that video that I thought Blue Lock had a chance to cement itself as one of the sports anime greats. And I stand by that statement. Back then, they had a chance to do it, but they completely shat the bed with this season and have actually put themselves in a situation where they can never be mentioned as an all-time great of sports anime. In fact, that they've put themselves into the situation where they will always be referred to as the letdown sports anime, I believe. It felt like a waste of time. I wasn't going to invest any more hours into something that I just know isn't going to increase its production value. But does that mean that Blue Box is now the default champion of the Blue Battle? Do they have Blue Supremacy? Let's talk about it. Now, if you don't know what Blue Box is, it's a sports romance anime based on the manga on Shonen Jump. Let's talk about my expectations going in. I don't think I've seen sports and romance in the same anime before. That has me intrigued. There's a lot of things you can take from romance that would blend nicely with sports. And there's a lot of things you can take from sports that would blend nicely with romance. And I think it kind of hits this like perfect. It's almost like a perfect date night movie, right? Where there's enough elements for in a traditional you're gonna get me in trouble. You gotta be careful what you say. In a traditional male-female relationship, you need something for the girl, you need something for the guy, and then it makes a great date night movie or a great date night show or whatever. right? You can think of like Fall Guy, the movie Fall Guy, right? With Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. This is a perfect date night movie because it has enough action and enough awesome stunts and stuff for him, but it hits all the cutesy romance moments and the peeling back of the mystery for her. And together, you put them together, it makes actually a really great movie that works for everyone. And it becomes the perfect date night movie. This potentially has that type of thing going for it, right? Where there's a little bit of stuff for her, a little bit of stuff for him, and you mix it all together and it's just great for everyone. So my expectations were kind of basically non-existent, aside from the fact that I think that there's some good symbiosis between the two genres. I didn't know how this would pan out. And it also has badminton as one of the sports. So badminton is the sport that the male character plays, and basketball is the sport that the female character plays. So seeing badminton on screen also had me intrigued, because that's a sport that, like, yeah, I think everyone plays in like gym from time to time. Everyone kind of is familiar with it. We all know that we have a racket and a shuttlecock. Can I say that on YouTube? Anime ASMR, brought to you by Mr. Rogers Reviews Everything. Today's word of the day: shuttlecock. Shuttlecock. I am all over the place. I'm lost in my own review here. So yeah, I was excited to see kind of a new sport brought to the screen, and that had me intrigued. So I would say my expectations were mostly built on this intrigue of how is this going to get pulled off. So let's talk about my initial impressions. Before we go deep into the impressions, let's kind of compare it to what we talked about earlier, right? What makes a great sports show? We talked about the underdog. This definitely has tones of the underdog, right? The main male character is not the best badminton player out there, but he's trying to get better, and he sees this female character being the top of her game and continually pushing and trying to be better. And it's this sort of competitiveness of, man, I need to be on her level for her to like me. So it does hit the underdog portion of that, right? Now, good characters. Does this have characters that we're going to care about when they succeed and when they struggle? And are we going to be happy when they overcome things? Or are we going to be sad when they have setbacks? Absolutely. I love the characters in the show. Our two main characters are great, but also the side characters are awesome. I know that I said in my Dan to Dan review that Momo ISA might be best girl for this year. But I think we've got at least a challenger in this show. Crap, I gotta look this up real quick. Sorry guys, I'm a bad anime fan. I don't remember all the characters' names. Hina could be best girl. She is so just like cute and fun, and I can't tell if she has like a thing for our main guy as well, and it's gonna be like this lovers triangle thing, which if that's the case, it's fine, I guess. Like, we've seen it before, but fine. But she's just so cute and sweet, and she's also the best at her sport of dance twirling, rope sashaying. I don't know what it's called, guys, I'm sorry. It's the thing where you do ballet and you have a baton with a rope on the end and you lasso around your body. That sport, you know what I'm talking about. You know you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. She could be best girl. His best friend is also a good character. Sort of gets in his head a lot and serves as the almost like Jiminy Cricket character, right? The shoulder angel that pushes him into maybe self-doubt. But it's usually done in a good comedic way. So yeah, I think it does sort of check the box for everything that we want in a good sports story. Then it also has the added benefit of having everything we love from a romance story. I will say it is a little paint by numbers when it comes to its romance plot, but it does it really, really, really well. So I don't care that I've seen this before. Is that in direct contradiction with what I said about season 1 of Blue Lock, where I've seen it, I don't need to see it again? Maybe, but it isn't all perfect. Of course not. The biggest kind of hurdle for me for this show is its setup is a little bit sloppy, a little bit like you just have to go with it. the fact that Chinatsu is now going to be living with our main character, and all the sort of tension and awkwardness that creates of having a male and a female of the same age living in the same house together. Yeah, that's going to create some awkward tension and whatever. But it's sort of ham-fisted in there. It's sort of like, we just need this to happen so that the show can go on. And that's about as much thought as they give to it. And also our main male character is sort of just like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. Like, who wouldn't like talk to their kid about that? So it feels a little bit awkward, feels a little bit contrived, the suspension of disbelief, right? You have to be able to just go with it. So if you can do that and get through that first episode and just put aside, just turn off the brain, just let yourself go on this story that's just for fun and for cutesies, then yeah, there's really, besides that, not a lot of other flaws. I think it's gorgeously animated, actually, and stark contrast to what we get with Blue Lock. Blue Box, from that perspective, kicks its ass. So would I recommend this to anybody? I actually think this is a pretty safe anime to recommend to just anyone who's interested in anime. It is pretty good. It doesn't do a lot of the like overly anime-y things that make non-anime people like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? There's not a lot of that in here. The story's cute. It's entertaining. The characters are good. The pacing is good. The animation of the sport that they play is really good. I've never seen badminton animated before. Right? There may be another one. I don't know of one, but I haven't seen it. But this is great. It looks good. The basketball looks good. I'm always worried in an anime when they have to do running or like jumping that it's going to look super weird. And here it looks fantastic. Then you couple in the fact that not only are they animating the sport well, they're animating everything else well. The walking down the street, the walking around school, the dance twirl ballet thingy, it all looks great. So let's score this baby. Let's give it a recommendation score. It's not perfect, and it's not even my favorite flavor of anime, right? My favorite type of anime to watch, but it is good. It is entertaining. It feels nice. It's comfy. It's cozy. And at this time of year, that's perfect. You know, I just want to turn off my brain and just snuggle up with a blanket and watch a show. And this fills that gap really well. This hits that spot. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5 for my recommendation score. And I think with that, we can announce the winner of the Blue Bat. I think it's pretty clear. There's no surprises here who the winner is. But yeah, Blue Box is just that much better than Blue Lock. And again, we don't have to compare shows, but it just felt too good. They both have blue. They're both sports. Why would I not? They're just yelling at me to compare them to each other. So that's what I did. And I hope you enjoyed the ride. And I hope you will check out these anime and come to a decision for yourself. And when you do, write it in the comments and let me know. Was I wrong? Am I too hard on Blue Lock? Am I giving it too much guff because its animation is poopy? Am I giving too much praise to Blue Box? Is it just too paint by numbers, something we've already seen before, that it is actually boring? I wouldn't say that that's a controversial take. If you commented that on the video, I'd be like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So let me know. What do you think about these? For me, like I said, clearly the Blue Battle winner is Blue Box. Congratulations, you have made a better anime than Blue Lock Season 2. The bar was low. It was Blue Lock's game to lose, and they lost and fell out of the way for another competitor to just come in and do an awesome job. And so far, Blue Box has done that. Now, is it going to be on the level of like Haikyuu? I don't know. It's way too early to even say anything like that. But that's the video for today. I'll see you again in December. Just a reminder, for this channel, I do a monthly video where we talk about reviews. We review 2 shows, and then I do like a weekly short. So the shorts come out on Tuesday, the video comes out on a Friday, and the next video, we're going to be talking about Ranma 1/2 and Dragon Ball Daima. We're going retro. We're going with some anime from before times that are being brought into the now times with better animation quality, and we'll see how they hold up. I have never seen Ranma 1/2, and I've always wanted to. And Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball, so we will talk about that next time. But until then, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you get notified when we talk about Ranma 1/2 and Dragon Ball Daima, so you can be in on the discussion. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I'm Mr. Rogers. Have an amazing day. I will see you next time. Bye.